What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Clown Questions, the show where there are no dumb questions. I'm your host, Matt K. Maurer, and the question on my mind today is, can you suspend a fan? I'll attempt to answer that question in addition to some other questions. We'll have a first-year interruption with Doug Gottlieb. I love Doug Gottlieb. We'll do a top 10 Goosebump moments of the week, and I'll give you my Christmas Day picks for maybe a bit of a disappointing slate, but hopefully not a disappointing show. So who's down to clown?
That's a clown question, bro.
So, can you suspend a fan? I definitely think you should be able to, and you can. You can. I know you can. One fan who was suspended recently, you could think of, was when he got in an altercation with Giannis Antetokounmpo, John Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton's dad. He got suspended. You can definitely get banned from stadiums. There's been certain fans that have been banned from stadiums for life for something so egregious that they've done. And yeah, we might have another fan like that, but at this point, it is a bit of a he said situation. But I'm going to try to get to the bottom of my question. Can you suspend a fan? And of course, I asked this after DK Metcalf was suspended 2 games. If you didn't watch the Steelers-Lions game, go back and watch it right now, or at least go watch the final play. One of the craziest endings I've ever seen. It will definitely be in the top 10 this week. It ended on a play where, Amon-Ra St. Brown caught it, stopped short of the goal line, pitched it back to Jared Goff, who ran in the end zone for a touchdown as time expired, but it was called back for OPI. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about DK Metcalf getting a 2-game suspension handed to him by the NFL. Metcalf will appeal this suspension, but this is a suspension that occurred after Metcalf was not thrown out of a game. And I believe he wasn't thrown out of the game because none of the refs saw this interaction take place, and you can't go back and review something like that if you hadn't thrown a flag on the play, according to the NFL. But yeah, basically what happened is during the game, DK Metcalf approached a fan on the sideline who was kind of leaning over the railing, and this fan happened to be wearing a blue wig, so I think we can identify them for certain as a Lions fan. But yeah, basically he approached the fan, grabbed the fan's shirt, and then kind of shoved him back. He kind of shoved him upwards. Sort of looked like DK Metcalf punched him. Kind of a punch, kind of not a punch. But yeah, what was interesting is this fan was holding a number 4 Pittsburgh Steelers jersey, presumably a DK Metcalf jersey, but didn't appear that this fan was a Steelers fan, and he has even confirmed that. And I think he's made some statements to the Detroit Free Press. He's had a Michigan law firm probably working overtime for him after this whole interaction. But yeah, apparently DK Metcalf actually had a history with this Lions fan that he confronted this past Sunday. Metcalf had reported this same fan to Seahawks security last year while he was playing for Seattle. Same thing. Incident occurred in Detroit, in Motown. But yeah, the he said is sort of what we're trying to get to the bottom of, and I don't know if we will get to the bottom of it, because unless you have perfect audio, I don't believe DK Metcalf was mic'd up, but maybe one of his teammates was around and mic'd up. Unless you have perfect audio, it's kind of hard to determine what was actually said. We have some videos, but none of the videos are really close enough for you to actually hear the conversation that was had between DK and this blue hair wearing fan. But yeah, the fan claimed that all he did to provoke DK Metcalf was call him by his government name. All you did was call DK Metcalf Decalen Zacharias Metcalf. That seems pretty innocuous, and DK Metcalf's not exactly known for being a level-headed guy, but that doesn't seem like it would be enough to set him up and put his hands on a fan. I think it was more than that. But the fan, Ryan Kennedy, that's the fan that's been identified as this Lions fan, categorically has denied, and this is a statement released from a law firm, he categorically denies using the N-word, the C-word, or any racial, misogynistic, or hate-based language during the incident, per a statement released by a Michigan law firm. On the Nightcap podcast, hosted by Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco, Chad Ochocinco said that he got word that the fan called Metcalf the N-word, and he called his mother the C-word. Bad words all around, slurs flying, and yeah, calling his mother a, can I say cunt on this show? I think I can. Calling him that, that's a bad enough swear where it should probably be in the F-bomb jar. But yeah, this fan might need a slur jar because I don't know. We're kind of back and forth. It's either you believe DK or you believe the fan. And again, unless we have perfect audio of it, how are we really going to determine this? I don't know. But it is interesting. The fan is quoted as saying, "My words don't matter because it was on camera." Your words don't matter because it was on camera. Okay, that sounds like something a guilty ass person would say. What do you mean your words don't matter? That is the whole crux of this argument here. Yes, obviously DK should not have put his hands on you. He shouldn't have pushed you. I do think a suspension was warranted. I probably think it should have been a 1-game suspension rather than a 2-game suspension, but you look at it, Jamar Chase gets suspended 2 games for spitting. You know, if you get into it with a fan, that's maybe a little more egregious because obviously you're already in contact with players during the game. But I don't know. Yeah, like I said, Metcalf will appeal. Maybe he gets that appeal back to a 1-game suspension. And the Steelers better hope so, because if they can't win against the Browns without DK Metcalf, they could be going up against the Baltimore Ravens in a winner takes the AFC North showdown with the Baltimore Ravens Week 18. But yeah, when the fan was initially asked what his name was, the fan said, "My name is biggest Detroit Lions fan ever that got attacked by DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf." This fan, his responses seem to be trolling. I don't know why he's continuing to troll DK after he clearly got the reaction he wanted. After DK kind of, shoved him back, the fan put his hands up like almost like Johnny Drama at the end of the Entourage movie. Victory! It's like he got exactly what he wanted. To me, it seems like he bought that. He might have spent $100 on a DK Metcalf jersey just to get a rise out of DK, just to get his attention. But yeah, after further being pressed, the fan did say his real name was Ryan Kennedy and that he's from Pinckney, Michigan. And Kennedy went on to say, "What my full name is DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. He doesn't like his government name. I called him that, and he grabbed me and ripped my shirt. I'm a little shocked. Like everybody's talking to me. I'm a little rattled, but I just want the Lions to win, baby." The fan was reportedly not thrown out of the game, which that gives the fan that shows maybe the fan could be, not in the wrong as much as some of us think he might be. Obviously the Lions would have thrown him out if people around him confirmed that he was using slurs or, even I think calling someone's mother a cunt is enough to get them thrown out in and of itself. But yeah, the Lions officials talked to him about the incident, did not throw him out. But again, here's the reason why I'm struggling to think that all he said was DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. I don't think that would have been enough to set Metcalf off because Steelers radio play-by-play announcer himself, Rob King, has corroborated this because he was told months ago by DK Metcalf that he actually prefers to go by DeKalen. DK did say he prefers DeKalen, but he changed it to DK because everyone kept mispronouncing it. But yeah, the play-by-play Steelers radio guy, Rob King, has been referring to Metcalf as DeKalen frequently throughout the season, even during radio broadcasts. Touchdown, DeKalen Metcalf. So I don't think his first name is something he's offended by, the fans, obviously the fan didn't say, hey, DeKalen, hey, DeKalen, hey, DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf. There had to be a little extra English on there. Maybe it was something to the effect of, hey, DeKalen's a girl's name. DeKalen's a girl's name. That could have been it, but I don't know. It seems like this is something DK preferred, and so maybe he could have been even complimented by being called DeKalen. But yeah, it's starting to seem like there's some holes in the biggest Lions fan ever that got attacked by DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf's story as Ryan Kennedy. That's the name he prefers to go by. But yeah, really unfortunate situation for DK Metcalf. Again, I tend to side with DK because, especially after hearing that he prefers to go by DeKalen, you would think it had to be a lot more than that. The DK wouldn't just grab him by calling him his government name. It would have had to be a lot more than that, in my opinion. But yeah, this not only could it be costly for the Steelers being without their wide receiver one for 2 games, the 2-game suspension for Metcalf could be costly for himself as well if it's upheld. We haven't heard the result of the appeal yet, but apparently based on his contract, the suspension would void not just the rest of his salary for this season, but $45 million in future guarantees, $25 million fully guaranteed in 2026, and $20 million guarantee for injury in 2027. Oh, I hate this Lions fan. And again, not condoning what DK did. If you punch or shove a fan, you probably deserve to be suspended. But if this fan was using that kind of language that I think he probably was, I'll go back to what Mike Tomlin said. Just do what comes naturally to you. I can't fault a guy for punching someone if you're saying the most vile words in the English language to him, from the sideline. So yeah, totally warranted if the fan did say those bad words. But yeah, unfortunate for the Steelers. Maybe we'll get that appeal reduced to 1 game, but yeah, only time will tell. The news will probably drop seconds after I post this podcast, as news tends to go. As I pull out my phone okay. Yeah, Mike Tomlin summarized his views on the Metcalf situation. I don't condone the behavior, but I support DK. Again, I think that's like, yeah, probably don't punch a guy, but I'm with you if this is, obviously we don't know, and we probably never will. But yeah, lots of speculation on this show. I love to speculate. But let me get on to some other news, some other suspensions. And these guys you can suspend, as you can with fans. Ed Cooley, head coach of Georgetown, he was suspended 1 game for throwing a water bottle at a kid. Let me say that again. Ed Cooley was suspended for throwing a water bottle at a kid. He was very distraught after Georgetown lost a close one, and he had a water bottle and looked like he was trying to throw it up in the air, maybe into the crowd, but he had a very bad throw, and it ended up being a line drive right at some poor kid's face. So yeah, Cooley was rightfully suspended. People are like, oh, well, he didn't mean to hit the kid. He meant to throw it high. It's like either way, you can't throw water bottles into the crowd. So yeah, I don't think Ed Cooley will even be appealing that suspension. Can you even appeal a suspension as a coach? I'm sure you can. I guess the college rules may be different, but yeah, I think Cooley will serve the suspension to try to, show his players he's more mature than he showed when he threw that water bottle. Another guy that got suspended was Denzel Perryman. The Chargers linebacker has been suspended without pay for 2 games for repeated violations of playing rules intended to protect the health and safety of players, including during Sunday's game against the Dallas Cowboys. The hit in question was sort of a helmet-to-helmet after the play was over. Many would call a dirty hit on Cowboys wide receiver Ryan Flournoy. Perryman will appeal this suspension. I don't see any way he's going to win this appeal because they said, yes, it was because of what you did against the Cowboys, but it was also repeated violations. So they're like, even if you can argue this one Cowboys play wasn't a dirty hit, we got other stuff to back it up. So I don't know. Maybe he wins the appeal and reduces it to a game. But yeah, I expect him to be suspended for sure. Probably not gonna win that appeal. And surprisingly, I didn't catch much of the fight because I was too focused on Tulane getting their ass kicked by Ole Miss in that game. But yeah, the Eagles and Commanders got into quite a bit of a brawl on Saturday. But apparently there are going to be no suspensions at all. No suspensions from Saturday's altercation between the Eagles and the Commanders, but the players' actions will be reviewed for discipline in the form of fines. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. A lot of suspensions to talk about this week. And yeah, again, let me move on because I don't have anything else to add. With my next question, are the White Sox relevant now? Who would have thought I'd be asking that? 2 years ago on this show, I think I asked the question, are the White Sox the worst team ever? Which they might have been. They were definitely up there or down there. But they are relevant now. Yes, the White Sox are relevant now because they signed a contract with third baseman Munetaka Murakami. It is a 2-year, $34 million contract. The 25-year-old is the single-season home run champion in Japan and will bring his prodigious power to a rebuilding White Sox team. That's where you can tell I was reading a tweet from Jeff Passan. I don't know if I'm familiar with the term prodigious, remarkably or impressively great in extent, size, or degree, unnatural or abnormal. Interesting word that Jeff Passan used there. But yeah, this was surprising to me because Murakami was a guy who had been talked about with the Dodgers, the Yankees. You thought he was going to get a lot more money than $34 million over 2 years. But I guess evidently the MLB was waiting to see if he could prove it in the league first. They didn't want to shell out, kind of like the Brewers did, and the Brewers were right. We shelled out in his rookie year, $80 million over 10 years for Mr. Jackson Chourio. We nailed that. But yeah, we'll see I think the White Sox definitely nailed this. I mean, you're paying him $17 million a year. I thought this guy was going to get 30. But again, hasn't played in the MLB yet, unproven. Like I said, single season, he's hit 56 home runs in a season. That is the most by a Japanese born player ever in the professional league in Japan. So yeah, the rebuilding White Sox team, they have a star to build around. He will play first base in Chicago. So you got to be excited if you're a White Sox fan. And probably if you're a Red Sox fan as well, because there was a trade. The Red Sox received first baseman Wilson Contreras, as well as $8 million to cover part of the remaining $41 million he has in salary. Contreras gets traded from the Cardinals to the Red Sox. In exchange, the Cardinals get 3 right-handed pitchers, Hunter Dobbins, Yoiker Fajardo. That's quite the name. And that's quite the government name, if you know what I'm saying. But then Blake Aita is the other pitcher. I'll be honest. I don't know any of those dudes, but I do know Wilson Contreras, and he's as reliable as a first baseman as you can have. Maybe not a superstar, and that's probably why the Cardinals also sent $8 million in the deal as well. They're like, yeah, we can't pay his salary, but I guess we'll pay part of it if you'll take the other $30 million and put it on your book. So like the trade for the Red Sox, love the move for the White Sox. I'm not even going to mention the Dodgers on this podcast because they trigger me. Quite a bit. As does this move. The Bills signing Matthew Judon. I don't know why I'm sneaking football news into the baseball question, but I don't know. Only 4 questions today. Probably will be the same length of show, though, as we're already at 20 minutes. Man, am I good at rambling. But, yeah, Bills signed Matthew Judon. He did clear waivers, and, yeah, I was hoping the Packers would maybe go after him after the loss of Micah Parsons. Maybe we did, but evidently we did not, as the Bills sign him. You love the veteran move for the Bills there. He can go back to red sleeves. He was wearing orange sleeves in Miami. Now we can go back to the red and blue, as I'm wearing the Bills jersey right now. Shout out DeMar Hamlin. But yeah, only other piece of signing news was Jacoby Myers signing a 3-year, $60 million extension with the Jags, $40 million of which is guaranteed. Myers has been the most reliable receiver for Jacksonville all year since getting traded here. You know, Brian Thomas Jr. had a bit of a sophomore slump. Travis Hunter got hurt. So, yeah, they're locking up Myers long term. Speaking of locking up things long term, can the Bears lock up a deal long term? Because I have to ask the question, are the Bears moving to Indiana? Are the Bears moving to Indiana? They might be, because Bears president and CEO Kevin Warren penned an open letter saying the team will expand their stadium search, including Northwest Indiana, after Illinois state leadership told the Bears their proposed Arlington Heights Stadium will not be a priority in 2026. Frankly, this is just a threat. They're not actually going to move to Indiana, but how dope would that be? The Indiana Bears. The Colts would have some competition for NFL football fans in that state. But yeah, I'll be honest. This is copium. This is me completely coping, trying to make fun of the Bears, trying to make I'm trying to speak the Indiana Bears into existence. But obviously this is copium after the Packers lost in overtime. Just an absolutely heartbreaking game. Walk-off 50-yard touchdown from DJ Moore to end the game. And yeah, copium. The Indiana Bears that's the only solace I have. And I guess the other solace I have is we could rematch against the Bears, assuming the Packers make the playoffs and the seeding doesn't change too much. Seems like that might be happening. But yeah, I'm coping. Jordan Love gets hurt in the game. Even Malik Willis, his backup, who played so well, is potentially hurt as well. Fell on his throwing shoulder. But yeah, probably one of the most heartbreaking Packers losses I've ever been a part of. Actually, the most heartbreaking Packers loss to the Bears I've ever been a part of. And yeah, what was even worse is that we had to be reminded of another heartbreaking Packers loss, because there were so many weird parallels to the 2014 NFC Championship game where we choked against the Seattle Seahawks. Very similar plays, missing an onside kick, walk-off touchdown in overtime. Yeah. Horrible week for the Packers. But yeah, hopefully Love is, not too concussed. Hopefully he makes it through concussion protocol. And if not, I know all us Packers fans are very confident in Malik Willis, especially after seeing him continue to play well against the Bears this past Saturday. But yeah, if Willis is out and Love's out, then we might be in some trouble. Apparently, Josh Jacobs and Jaden Reed were our emergency quarterbacks. Someone might have to correct me on that, because that really confuses me, because NFL rosters allow a 54th roster spot of sorts. It's an emergency third quarterback. But yeah, we do have Clayton Tune on the practice squad, but I don't know if Clayton Tune was suited up for that game. I don't know if he was ready to go. That's why Malik Willis continued to play through a hurt throwing shoulder. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see Josh Jacobs or Jaden Reed out there at quarterback. And yeah, I think the Packers will be fine. I think we can beat the Ravens with Jordan Love or Malik Willis against Lamar Jackson or potentially Snoop Huntley if Lamar Jackson isn't able to play due to injury. If we have to start Clayton Tune, we could be in some trouble, but I'm hoping at least Love or Willis will play. But alas, to wrap it up, the Indiana Bears just has a nice ring to it. Doesn't that sound good? The Indiana Bears. Yeah, nice ring to it. And yeah, the Packers and Bears, let's be honest, they're on a collision course for a rematch at Soldier Field in the playoffs here. But let's move on to my final question of the day. Is podcasting even important? Of course it is. Yes, of course podcasting is important. And I have to ask this question because Doug Gottlieb. I don't know who remembers Doug Gottlieb. I heard about Doug Gottlieb on this show before, and I was laughing my ass off because he is the head coach of a D1 basketball team, the Green Bay Phoenix. And as he coached the basketball team, he continued to do a daily radio show, which I always thought was insane. I still thought was insane. And when this newest story about Doug Gottlieb came up, I was surprised to see he was even still the coach. I'm like, wait, they didn't fire him after he went, 5-26, very bad season for Green Bay. But of course, the Doug Gottlieb story is that he has decided to step away from radio. He is stepping away from his radio gig to focus on being a full-time Division I head basketball coach for UW Green Bay. But I think that that word I just said, full-time, is a bit of a fallacy. And I'll show you why with this week's First Year Interruption, which will be with Doug Gottlieb. My man, Doug Gottlieb. That's who we're being interrupted by today. And yeah, here's a video, kind of a lengthy one, so I cut out some pauses in it, only about a 2-minute clip. But yeah, here is him announcing his decision to step away from the radio gig and become a quote-unquote full-time Division I head basketball coach for UW Green Bay. Here he is, Doug Gottlieb.
These kids owe a fully dedicated coach. I know I'm fully dedicated. Marcus is like, dude, it doesn't matter. But, you only get one shot at this thing. And if there's any ounce of lack of preparation or any ounce of fatigue, this is going to sound crazy, but last week we go down to Indy, and because of the timing of my show, the bus had to leave without me, and I flew. And I don't think that's what I want to do as a coach, And I'll still be doing podcasts, and iHeart has been amazing about it. So we'll transition to a different version of it. It'll still be the same stuff, but I'll do it off office hours and at home, and you can take days off, and I can have a life. But like Thanksgiving, I had all 3 of my kids in town, and I had to work on a Friday because I gotta say I wanted to bank those holiday days for when we travel or for game prep or whatever. And I just it's really hard. It's going to be obviously a bit of a financial hit, and I'll work through it. I've been blessed beyond all measure. But the Doug Gottlieb show on radio in the afternoon, as of now, we're going to take a break from it. It's just I gotta have a life. I gotta be here for those kids, and I gotta really dig in because we're building something cool here. We're building something cool. How about Keegan Van Kallenberg, right? Comes in cooler than a cucumber. And even when he misses, everybody thinks it's going in. This is a special place. I want to be the coach that rises it from the ashes. And I'm fully dedicated to Green Bay basketball. I was always fully dedicated. It doesn't really change much, but that's what's going to happen. And I think Friday will be my last show, but we're trying to organize it so a lot of my friends call in and we get something for posterity. But this isn't about anybody else. This is a personal decision and a really, really hard one. But it's one that I think it's time. It's time. The Bears played the Packers, and I had to watch it, days later. Just be honest, we played, and we got drilled, and it doesn't feel good to act like you watched something you didn't watch when you really kind of got to watch it. And I've always been, I'm a wildly flawed human being, but I'm an authentically wildly flawed human being, and I can't be authentic and act like, I just don't want to be one of those guys that's hanging on for a paycheck. And I still love doing it. I love my guys in Los Angeles, and but that's the decision that's been made.
Wait, he's still doing the podcast? He's still doing the podcast? I thought that's why I asked the question, is podcasting even important? Apparently it still is to Doug Gottlieb. He made a big show of this big announcement. Oh, I'll be stepping away from my radio gig. Don't worry, I'm still doing the podcast. This is such a fake yes, he's not doing the daily radio show. He'll be doing podcasts sparingly, but there was a number of weird quotes in this 2-minute little soliloquy from Doug Gottlieb. I did cut out parts of it because it was pretty lengthy, but part of one of the quotes he said was, "I'll do it off hours. I'll do it off office hours." Were you previously doing it on office hours? I think so. I think, the radio show was in the middle of the day, so that could take away from some of his time as the basketball coach. But even without that, people get distracted. You go on your phone. So, like, how much of the time when he's supposed to be doing Green Bay work was he distracted and preparing for his show? You know, looking up Shedeur Sanders' stats and seeing what take he's gonna make on him this week. But yeah, just concerning. Just really seemed like a faux statement from Doug Gottlieb here. He goes, I know I'm fully dedicated. How? How are you fully dedicated? You were not fully dedicated to the team. You're fully dedicated to yourself and wanting to be a radio host and a basketball coach, but you got to pick one. He said, you know, I was still going to be doing podcasts and immediately coughed. Like, he couldn't even contain how much that is just bullshit. And another thing he said was, I got to have a life. What does that mean? Like, you didn't have enough time because, you're doing too many radio shows, you're a head basketball coach. That was up to you. That was literally your decision to continue to do the radio show. Props for stepping away now, but for me, this is a half measure. If he was fully dedicated to the UW Green Bay program, he would step away from the radio show and the podcast. Yeah, another lie he said is, I was always fully dedicated. No, you weren't. Maybe you were fully dedicated to the radio show, but not your team. And then I almost cut off the clip, but then he went on to say, you know, Bears Packers, you know, we got our shit wrecked. That's obviously, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say that, but he's like, yeah, it doesn't feel good to talk about a game when you really didn't need to watch it and you need to watch it. It's like, that's what you're worried about. That comment alone means he was worried that he couldn't give his radio gig full effort. He was doing his radio gig a disservice. You were doing your players, you were doing any Green Bay Phoenix fans a disservice. You're worried about Bears Packers and not being able to give proper analysis about that, and you're not worried about your own team. Just insane. The realest thing he said was, you know, I'm a wildly flawed human being, but I'm an authentically wildly flawed human being. I might have to steal that from you, Doug, as much as I make fun of you. I don't want to plagiarize you, but authentically wildly flawed human being is kind of a bar, so I might have to steal that. But yeah, one of the last things he says is, I don't want to be one of those guys hanging on for a paycheck. Is that why you were doing the radio show, for the money? I don't believe that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, he's getting paid over $200K yearly in salary from Green Bay. I think the fifth year of his deal, it kind of goes up in tiers. Fifth year is like $350K. I think that's plenty of money. Maybe from your prior radio gigs, you had a certain lifestyle that you couldn't keep up with on a $200K salary. But yeah, if you were, that's ridiculous if you were hanging on for a paycheck. And, you know, I gotta be honest, Green Bay did know about all this radio show. They okayed it, and I believe because of the radio show, they agreed to pay him a little bit of a lower salary, which makes sense. You know, he's not fully dedicated, as he said, so you shouldn't have to pay him the full rate. But yeah, I love Doug Gottlieb. This remains maybe my favorite story of all time. Just hilarious. And yeah, I feel bad. I continue to feel bad for the players, even as I'm laughing here. You know, I'm a Badger fan, not a Phoenix fan. But yeah, Doug, get it together. Stop doing the podcast. If you really care about the Green Bay Phoenix, you would have stopped doing the podcast and the radio show months ago, years ago. But yeah, maybe the Green Bay is hovering around 500. Much better year this year than last year. They're still not a good team, but you know, maybe he's given up on the radio show because he thinks this team is actually decent. Maybe could, you know, maybe win the Horizon League, maybe sneak in as a 15 seed in the NCAA tournament. Wouldn't that be fun? But not as fun as everybody's favorite moment of the week, the top 10 Goosebump moments of the week. Let's get it started off at number 10, a double bang. We got another double bang from the Knicks announcer, Mike Breen, for the number 10 moment of the week, which was the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson hitting a tough three for the win in Indiana.
Into the hands of Jalen Brunson. Knicks down 2. 8 seconds to go. Brunson drives, pulls back, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! Jalen Brunson knocks it down. and the Knicks take the lead with 4.4 remaining.
Number 9, rookie Lathan Ransom gets the INT to win it for the Panthers.
Throws, and it's intercepted. It's a takeaway for the Carolina Panthers. Lathan Ransom, the rookie.
Number 8, Tariq Francis pulls up for a game-winning 3 for Rutgers.
George have to hurry. 6 seconds. Francis for the win. Francis, got it.
Number 7, Miles Barnstable wins it at the buzzer for Tulsa.
Passes 3. Barnstable wins it for the Golden Hurricane at the
Number 6, Kenzie Hare nails the corner 3 at the buzzer for the ISU women.
Brown, kick for the win from Hare.
Number 5, Bryce Fitzgerald gets the game-ending pick as Miami advances in the college football playoff.
Gets it to the end zone. Intercepted! Picked off again by the freshman, Bryce Fitzgerald.
Number 4, UW Whitewater's Isaac Vergis steals it and nails the half-court buzzer beater.
Stolen by Vergis for 3.
Oh!
And he gets it to go. Holy wow.
Number 3, the Seahawks convert the 2-point conversion to win an instant classic in overtime.
Caught for the 2 points. Eric Sorbert.
Number 2, DJ Moore catches the walk-off 46-yard touchdown as the Bears beat the Packers in OT.
Launching downfield, going for it all. It is caught. Bears win it. DJ Moore.
Number 1 moment of the week, the Steelers win a bizarre game after an even more bizarre finish.
At
What?
the 1, he didn't get across, but there are flags down. Ball ends up in the hands of Goff. He goes across. Did they have a whistle first?
On the field is a touchdown, however, pass interference, number 14 on the offense. By rule, that penalty is not enforced, and there is no replay. The game is over.
Wow.
There is no touchdown.
Whoa!
The OPI on number 14 negates the penalty. There is no replay. The game is over.
The OPI ends it. They even conceded, Gene, that Goff had scored a touchdown. As bizarre as it gets.
As bizarre as it gets. Whoever the Lions fan was, well, we know his name, but the Lions fan who was trolling DK got trolled back by the refs. That was such a hilarious call to end the game. By the way, the presence of mind by Amon-Ra St. Brown to lateral that ball, Goff to catch it and get that touchdown, and it counted. Well, it didn't count because it got called back due to penalty, but one of the craziest, most bizarre games I've ever seen. Kenneth Gainwell had a weird play earlier in the game where, there was a flag. He caught the ball on the ground, got back up. Everyone thought the play was over, runs into the end zone. Just a bizarre game. It even had a Chris Boswell doink, which we never see. But that Lions fan who trolled DK got trolled right back by that ref who goes, touchdown. However, there is an offensive pass interference. By rule, we can't even review that. The game is over. And the Lions fans are like cheering. They're like, we just won? And he's like, there's no touchdown. Like he understood that the call sounded confusing, so he had to reiterate. He's like, yeah, it's a touchdown, but it's no touchdown. So yeah, that guy in the blue wig maybe got what was coming to him in an absolutely gut-wrenching loss for the Lions, who need to win out, and they need the Packers to lose out in order to make the playoffs. DJ Moore, I don't need to talk about that. Hell of a throw from Caleb Williams, the Iceman, they call him apparently. But what a play. But yeah, the half-court shot landed at number 4. He stole it and hit a half-court shot. I guess maybe I'm being elitist because it's a D3, but it is Wisconsin, UW Whitewater. But I don't know. I put all those football ones because it felt like we had 3 different games of the year in 4 days. Just cinema that we've seen from the NFL. But we might not see it on Christmas Day, where there are 3 NFL games, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate because the games aren't maybe looking too fun to watch. So here are my Christmas Day picks. Yikes. We got Cowboys, Commanders, Lions, Vikings, and Broncos, Chiefs. Yikes. Not the best slate. Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites at the Commanders on Netflix. Commanders might be out there with their third-string quarterback, Josh Johnson. I'll keep this segment short because these games are probably not going to be all too entertaining. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll get some instant classics again on Christmas. But yeah, my pick in that first game is going to be Cowboys minus 6.5. Both team seasons are over, but I think the Cowboys handle business, whether it's Mariota or the third string Josh Johnson. Lions are 6-point favorites at the Vikings on Netflix. That's an easy pick for me. Lions minus 6. They got their backs to the wall. I think they'll fight at least to be maybe alive in that last week. Well, actually, no. Packers, I think, are going to beat the Ravens, so I think we'll eliminate them. But, yeah, give me Lions minus 6. And then Broncos are minus 13.5-point favorites at the Chiefs on Prime Video. 13.5. Wow. Yeah. Obviously, Mahomes tore his ACL. Gardner Minshew, the backup, was feared to have torn his ACL. They said it wasn't a tear. It was I think more of a strain, but still a multi-game injury. So we might have Chris Oladukin as the starting quarterback for the Chiefs. So yeah, probably just a messy slate of sloppy football. The over-under in the Broncos Chiefs is 36.5. 36.5. This game is the ultimate test of, do the Broncos play down to their competition? I think we'll find out in this game. But yeah, I guess in this game, fuck it. Give me the over 36.5, as I do owe $1 to my auntie's charity. Oh, I only got a 5, so I'll get the change in a second here after the show is over, because it is almost over. Because yeah, not much to talk about with these Christmas Day games. Yeesh. Yeah. With an NFL slate this bad, looks like this Christmas we'll actually spend some quality time with our families. Or we'll watch NBA basketball.